what are those lizards called? Chameleons or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what room I'm in, my goddamn face always turns the color of like whatever the fucking thing is behind me. Like
I hadn't
it's
noticed
orange.
until you said, and now I can see it. Yeah.
Oh man, well, thanks for jumping on, dude. I know you got a lot more going on than we do these days.
Yeah, it was a busy week, I would say. I was trying to
Yeah,
play a little catch up and, got some calls and things like that. But yeah, man, happy to be here.
yeah,
Thanks for
love
having
it.
me.
Fucking great to have you.
Yeah, like who would have thought? Like if you would have gone back like 18 months ago, when we're just like communicating over email and catching up on Messenger and like, like have you finished your emails this week? Like all those little things when you were pestering us about outreach and everything else. Who would have thought that a year and a half, if that, later, we're all sitting here having a conversation on a professionally run show. Fucking
Yes.
pretty amazing.
I love the growth, guys. I love the growth, and yeah, it's always like wild to see. I think from like all different perspectives. Me as the group owner, and you guys seeing y'all grow, and then got people who joined even after you guys. Like the stuff that people are working on nowadays. It's just like it blows my mind, and just super grateful y'all gave me a chance to teach y'all and show y'all the ropes, and so.
It's good to see you. Like we've all known each other now for a couple of years. I started recently. I actually both met in your program. I don't know. We've been doing this for about 6 months, so probably within a year. I think I was one of the first people to sign up for the Nomadic Copywriter, which seems like an eternity ago, but in a good way, because so much has happened since then, and it's been real nice to not only get my own success out of that, but been able to reach back into the group and pull some others out of there also. So anyway, it's good to see you, man. It's our first time that three of us have been on a podcast or a video together talking, and it's good to reconnect. It's kind of like a little reunion. So it's good to have you on. I guess like most people know your story and everything like that, and we all have similar backgrounds in the sense that we've had our days where we're drinking heavy and partying heavy. Me down in Miami, Reese over in Brighton or wherever over there those Brits party, and then I know you had your own story a little bit. So anyway, without going through like the whole things that have already been said elsewhere, you just want to give yourself a little short introduction and kind of we'll take it from there.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for having me on here so much, fellas. And yeah, it's been great to see y'all grow. And yeah, Lee, I think you were actually like copywriter like number 1 or 2 or 3 in the program who said I'm in. So yeah, it's wild to see y'all's journey, and it's cool that you guys are collaborating. But in terms of intros, like I'm Francis Nayan, of course. I'm originally from Memphis. Currently traveling around right now, so I don't really have a base. And so I'm a freelance email copywriter and marketer, and also a freelance business coach. I'm going to run a program called the Nomadic Copywriter, which is all about writing and building email lists and becoming an email marketer and working to freedom. And so I'm very passionate about that, of like the whole idea of like, this 4-hour work week or 4-hour work day, whichever you want to do. The whole point is like you work what you want and you live a life that you want to. And so I'm a big like freedom supremacist, basically because, as you, Lee, like alluded to a little bit, is like almost a decade ago, I had like the least freedom lifestyle ever. I was addicted to opiates and, namely like heroin and Dilaudid. And I had like a really bad 100, 200, 300 day per day habit. And so it was a true like disease, and, imprisoned me mentally. And, it was just a horrible thing. Addiction is, just literally like I wouldn't want to wish that on my worst enemy, and really anyone. And so but it was something that I dealt with for a few years, and it kind of built up. And during that time, strangely, I still had this idea of like I want to be a writer. I want to travel the world. I still even remember I was sitting in like West Memphis, Arkansas, and I was with like my running partner, which is like what we call somebody in like the addict community, of like somebody who we do drugs with and like we hustle and get money together with. And we were with a drug dealer in West Memphis. And I remembered I was sitting in this horrible gas station, like right by the bridge. And this drug dealer was just like, I don't know, we were having small talk, I think. And he was like, what y'all doing? Like, what are y'all trying to do out here? And he was like, are y'all in school? Like, whatnot? And I forgot how we got into the conversation, but I pretty much said, like, he's like, I want to be a writer and I want to travel around Europe, and this was like years ago. This was like 2013, maybe 10 years ago now. And so this whole idea of writing and living and traveling abroad has like always been on my mind. And so in October 2014, I had my overdose where like nearly died. I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. And then I got clean. I went back home to Memphis where I had to do my recovery, and I didn't go to rehab because I actually had a choice. My mom, who works in like addiction recovery, she was like, you can go to rehab or you can just stay at home. But if you stay at home, there's going to be like crazy restrictions. And she's like, you can only be at home, the gym, and work if you get a job. And so stayed at home, worked out a lot, and I got fired from like 2 jobs because I wasn't good, mentally. But during that time, I did end up getting my teaching certification, which like 9 months after my overdose, I ended up moving to Barcelona. Taught for a year in Barcelona, and I was halfway towards my dream of living and traveling in Europe. And then moved to Budapest, Hungary, to teach. And there, after a year and a half, I found copywriting, started landing clients slowly. And yeah, about 100, 150, 200 clients and millions of words written. Here we are right now, still writing copy. And now I've had the privilege of coaching and mentoring like great people like recently here. And y'all, it's been amazing. So yeah, that's me in a good 3.5 minute nutshell.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the transparency and honesty there. I know I know you've told the story before, but it's not the easiest thing to get on a recording and talk about all that stuff. And we do have to recognize too that type of addiction, as most people know, is like not many people come out of that. Like not many people recover and are able to get clean. And it's even a smaller percentage that are able to go on and be productive and live a healthy life. So congratulations to you on that. I don't know if I've said it before, but that's no small feat, my friend. So but yeah, we Reese and I think I joined the program about a year and a half ago. Like I mentioned, I'd heard you on another podcast. It was actually Kristen Wilson's podcast, and jumped in, started learning. You gave me the push that I needed, because I was a part of a couple other programs that are very good, but it wasn't relatable. You know what I mean? Because we had similar party backgrounds in the sense that I was just living like 1 week at a time and didn't have, like I had thoughts in my head of things I wanted to do, but I was like, how much can I work this week to make enough money so I can fucking blow it on the weekends? That kind of thing. So yeah, I know the feeling. So that really set me on track. And man, what a trajectory though. I mean, and we'll encourage people to check out the Nomadic Copywriter new program with the show notes and everything. And then Reese and I met through there, and we just had a random idea to start up all this stuff. But anyway, enough about us. So where are you located at the moment?
Well, I'm actually back in Budapest. I moved away from Budapest like just a year ago. I tried my shot at living in Portugal, and it was all right. Just wasn't really my vibe, and I wanted out. And so now I'm like actually fully nomadic with no real base. Working on that, hopefully. But yeah, I'm back in Hungary for the next few days.
How's that felt? Because a lot of people go out, they start off not having a base, and then they do find somewhere they want to kind of settle for a little bit. How is it being back out on the road, so to speak?
I mean, for me, it's not so it's definitely different. Like when you have a base, whether you're an expat and you're in another country, or it's just your home country. Like in my case, the U.S. It's kind of nice. I would say there is a comfort in that of being like, oh, I have a home base, I have an address. Like if somebody wants to mail me something, there's a place that you can go to. Right now, with not really having one, it does feel a little bit strange. It feels a little freeing because now I can literally go anywhere, and money's good, and so it's like, if that's exciting. I think there's definitely pros and cons to it. I think, to be honest, I would prefer a base just because it's like, with things being mailed to me, or like I want like these paid newsletters, and they're like, oh, where should we send it? And I'm like, I actually don't know. Like little things like that. It's kind of like, oh, actually, it'd be nice to have like a home base. You know what I mean? But overall, it's a good. I'm comfortable with my girlfriend, and yeah, we're just staying in places that we really enjoy. And after a few years of traveling and being abroad, it's like we know our style of travel, we know the places we like to be. So yeah, it's not bad. Still loving it.
Are you so as you're going around, are you like scouting places out for future bases, or?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, because with all of the rules, as like a U.S. citizen of like where you can stay and how long, we always have to be a little cognizant of like um, you know how many days I'm in Europe, for example, or is my Portuguese residency like still active, which like surprisingly it is. And so we are like doing a lot of scouting of like where do we want to be in November, and how do those plans in November affect plans for February, and then how would that affect any potential like residency processes, and so like right now I'm looking at Spain. So like now we're thinking about like, well, should we stay longer in Europe past like these next 45 days, or should we bounce to Argentina? So we are like scouting a whole lot, and there are places that we want to go to again. Like we'd love to go back to Thailand, so we're already looking at places there. But yeah, I mean, we are like definitely planning ahead, and it's fun. It's fun to do, and it's good. It's cool to imagine like what life could be in just a few months from now.
100%. I mean, you've had tons of success, which we'll definitely get into. Has that adjusted how you look at different locations? Like, are you like, do you find yourself like on Airbnb, like, oh, I just like add like push the filter off a little bit more because now that's kind of feasible, or is it kind of not really changed?
Surprisingly, it's only changed like recently. So it's almost like that idea of like breaking the seal, of like once you cross that barrier, it's like you extend it more. So to be honest, even though that I made really good money as a copywriter, and then like combine that with like the revenue from the program and my digital products, like I was honestly still living pretty simply. Like I wasn't staying in like these mansion Airbnbs or anything like that. It was essentially places that just had like a living room, a bedroom, and like a nice kitchen. It wasn't this like extravagant place. And so why I say recently is because we had spent a month in Atlanta, Georgia, and so of course like the U.S. is a lot more expensive than like Hungary or Thailand or something like that, and so we rented a house for a month in Atlanta where it was several thousand. And it was a good place, but it was definitely the most I've ever spent on an Airbnb. And so now it's like, oh, well, I spent that much, so let's look at the other places, and now, yeah, let's move that little needle a little bit more. And so, um, but at the end of the day, I'm somebody who is like really like simple, and I've also noticed that like the nicer the place, the more likely you're just going to stay in that accommodation, and you're not going to like explore, and so I think having the basics for me, it like keeps me comfortable, keeps me happy. But then I'm also like, all right, well, it's not comfortable enough to where like I'm just gonna stay here for like 6 days straight, like chilling on a couch. I've done that before. I did that in Thailand, and I was like, am I in Thailand, or am I just at this resort? You know what I mean? So it hasn't
Yeah.
changed too much.
Yeah, there's something to be said about like I'm in a tiny spot now in Lakeland, Florida, and I just had this conversation the other day because it's the size of a hotel room. There's two of us in there. I know exactly what you're talking about because me and my girlfriend got on there. We took one look around, and we're like, we can't be in here together all the time, And it actually forced me to come to this co-working spot where I'm at now, and it's like, because I have that bad habit too. Like, there's an Airbnb with a pool or whatever, or a hotel with
Oh
a
yeah.
pool. I'm going to stay there, and then I never see anything because it's always I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it the next day. I'll do it the next day. So how is that? Have you been traveling with her? It's been quite a while now, right? The two of you have been like traveling around together.
Yeah, yeah. My girlfriend and I, we were traveling together like years before, like even when I was like just like an agency writer, I just had like one client.
Sure.
And so we would take like 4 or 5 day trips here and there. And so yeah, like it's been nice to do that. And then as you said, like being in a place that is like very baller, it's like you want to take advantage of it because
Yeah.
you likely also paid a lot for it. And so yeah, when we were in Thailand, we stayed in a resort, and like I barely left the place. It was like there's a pool here, there's a gym, like this table in the kitchen's big enough for us to work, so no reason for a co-working space. It's like, oh, they got food delivery apps here, like screw it, like let's just get the food over, just bring the food to me, and so yeah, now it's like we like to keep it simple, and it's still simple. Like even right now, this the place we're staying at, it reminds me of like one of our first places together.
How has it been? So you've obviously been in a relationship the whole time. So how has your kind of trajectory after over the last couple of years like been? Because it is a huge trajectory, and obviously I'm assuming that you weren't together way back in the day with the addiction, but post that. So I'm guessing that was always part of your story. But then your partner's seen you go from like starting the copywriting to now. Like how has that kind of been in the relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting. You know what I mean? I mean, we only been together for like a few years, but she was there when I was somewhat. I think I was only a year into copywriting, and so she's seen me kind of grow from like just somebody who was like kind of struggling, trying to get clients, to now where it's like I understand how to get clients. I know how to keep them. I know how much to charge, um, and everything's pretty good. So yeah, I know for her, she's been like really proud of me because she saw me as that guy who was like, if I got a client and I was getting paid like $30 to write an email, I was like, oh, I'm crushing it. You know what I mean? And so, and to go from that to being like, paid $4,000 to write 4 emails for like a, a welcome sequence or something like that. Like, yeah, it's been one hell of a journey. And she's even now part of my company, part of my business. She works as an assistant and is also a ghostwriter herself. So for some of my clients, she actually writes for them, and she's actually a really good writer. And she's not a native English speaker, but she is like a very skilled and like excellent copywriter, email copywriter. So yeah, it's been really cool to go from this before and after kind of transformation, and then also seeing hers as well.
Speaking of all that, let's get into, I guess, so you started off with a nomadic copywriter, and I love the way you did this, and we can get into some detail, but you started off with that, you put the word out, you did one of your hand raisers, and you kind of just opened the program up just to see who would be interested. And then what I liked about the way you handled that is you kind of built it as we went, like we were kind of building as we were going. And I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, I was like, yeah, this guy Francis is pretty cool. Like he's relatable to me. I want to learn from him. And we just jump into these calls, and he's got a Google Doc, and he's scrolling down a Google Doc. And at the time, that was like the big, a couple of years ago, when the course thing was really huge and everybody was doing all this fancy shit. I was
Yeah.
like, man, this guy it's smart. He's building as we go, and we're learning as we go. But so that started at a couple of years. What was like February? I forget. We don't have to.
I think it was like March. I think March was like
March.
when we officially started. Yeah.
Yeah. And how was like the trajectory of that? I mean, as a student, obviously I see the group growing and everything else and interacting, but like the trajectory of that, like, could you kind of like, what was it like to start that off? And at what point did you know that it was going to work? Like, how was that mindset, like from start to the point where you were like, this is actually going to be feasible?
Yeah. And so I started the group basically because I was getting tired of client work. I was just onboarding and offboarding clients, and the pay was all right, but I was getting kind of bored. I wanted to add something to it, and so but I didn't really know like what I wanted to do, and so I got inspired by a couple friends and like a mentor of mine to like start a group and just teach people what I wanted to know, like what I knew, and what I went through, and just give advice. And of course, it's like nerve wracking, in the beginning, like you're getting paid for your advice. There's a lot of imposter syndrome, and you're wondering if like your stuff works, which is kind of ridiculous because like it obviously works because it got you from here to there, right? And so um, it was really actually nerve wracking at first, and it was we launched in March, but I actually started like coaching in December or January, I think. And I met a girl in the program, a woman in the program named Josie, and shout out to Josie. She was like my first like case study student. And so I was just giving her like one-on-one trainings for free for like several weeks, really. I think in December and January. And even then, I was like, you know, wondering if what I'm teaching is good, if it's like valid, if it's helpful. But then, yeah, I just got pushed to just say, screw it and like try it. Send out the hand raiser, see if my list would be interested in that. And I was really surprised. Like a simple hand raiser. The stuff that I'm teaching y'all now in the new group is like, I was really surprised with like just the response, especially because the Nomad newsletter was completely different then from what it is now. Back then it was supposed to be like very digital nomad heavy. It wasn't like a personal brand like it is now. But yeah, just sending that hand raiser out. Once I sent out that hand raiser and I got the response, and I think I got like 100 or 200 people saying yes, they'd be interested. I was like, okay, I think there's potential in this. I think I could probably get a few people, like maybe. But of course, like I'm still terrified, And so once I created like my Google Doc invite and sent out like another hand raiser that was a bit more serious, and I was like, here's everything that's laid out. I remember how terrifying it was when somebody actually said I'm in. And Lee, I actually think you were the first one to say it. And so
I probably said it several times. I probably was like, he's not replying to me. I'm in, goddammit, I'm in.
Yeah. And I was like, so like, that's when I think the excitement and like the fear like went into like overdrive, because it's like, oh shit, like somebody's in, like I have to do this now. You know what I mean? Like whether it's one person or 100, I have to do it. And of course, after that initial launch, I got 5 people in, 6 including like Josie. And so I remember that first month, like I was like really nervous. I think people say in the trainings, like watching the trainings, that I seem really confident and things like that. And I'm really clear and concise, but like they didn't see that I spent like hours trying to be legible, and like I went through it a few times, and I was nervous as hell, recording, with you, and I think Keith was in there, and a few others. But then I think the moment that I thought that, okay, this could actually be a little bit bigger, was actually in the second month, when I had the option to like learn more about the program in my PS. And that's something I teach, like the power PS of like, have your list of products here, PS, here's what I can do for you. And then somebody actually responded back, and then like, he wasn't part of the initial launch, but he joined. And then like a week after, somebody else joined, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm enrolling people like left and right. Like this could actually be a thing. You know what I mean? And so once I got like 7 or 8 people in, I was like, I think this could be something, but yeah, it really was like a side project for, really all of last year. And so, yeah, it was absolutely terrifying, but also exciting.
I always wondered from the beginning, because you are really good on camera and in your classes and everything. I was like, I wonder, and I know you just did it for a short time, but do you think like any of that experience from teaching carry it over? Because you kind of like, you're that good in presentation. Do you think that had any bearing on your cadence and everything else?
That's an interesting thing, because like, not really. So I think that when I was teaching, I actually wasn't like the most confident teacher. I mean, I can teach English and whatnot, but like I'm not like, I don't think I'm a confident, good English teacher. But when you're teaching something that you have experience in, then, and you kind of have to trust yourself with what with what you experienced, then it kind of flows out a whole lot, right? So I think for me, the reason why I can convey confidence or competency on camera or when I'm presenting, I think it's just because I'm teaching something that I've done. And even sometimes I like seek out other people who have done the same thing. So it's like, oh, okay, like, hey, I got clients through cold email. Like, did you get clients through cold email? And then they're like, yeah, I got clients through cold email. I'm like, okay, well, this works. So I'm just going to teach it, So I don't think it didn't translate as much. I did like lacrosse coaching as like a high schooler and in university. And so like, I do remember seeing myself being more confident doing that, just because it's like, my experience. Right. So I think, yeah, it didn't come into as much as like the teaching part, but I think it really is just like being comfortable with your experience and just believing that it works.
How is that? So that fear, that those nerves in the beginning, how is that kind of feeling transformed over time?
Yeah, I think in terms of like running the program, like it I think I'm very confident as a group runner. I think there are times when I feel a little bit nervous with like certain topics, because maybe they're a little bit more high level, or it's like how I get nervous with maybe like how can I make this more clear, or if I'm wondering if like if if I can be as concise with it, because I'm a very simple person. I like to break things down, and I'm like, oh man, is this too complicated? Is this too like a few steps ahead? So it's that part does come in, but like when it comes to like the fear of like running the group, I feel very confident with my group. I love it. I know it works. And so I think that's, very similar to being like a copywriter or a freelancer with a skill. It's like at first when you get that client, you're like, oh man, I'm nervous. Like, am I going to be good at this? Right. But then once you get enough reps in and you see things working, then you start to feel, a lot better. And, that's where I'm at right now. And even with things like launching offers and stuff like that, like there's always fear, with that, even with the new group, even though I was mainly talking to TNC alums, like I was still like nervous launching it. But over the year, I've also tried to launch like new digital products that like some worked out well, some flopped, and like nothing changed. No one hated me. People would still buy from me. People still read my emails. So yeah, the fear is still there, but it's more like if I feel that fear, then I know it to follow it, because it probably means it's a good thing and it's gonna make me a whole lot better.
It's speaking of like trying different iterations and things that may or may not work. Like, what's your after you've been doing this for a while now? Like, what's your thought process? And this could go for like client projects or for the group things. If you have something that doesn't work, like how do you triage that? And like, what's your process? Like, how do you know how far you should take it? Do you have like a standard like thought process you run yourself through?
Now, in terms of like running the group or like whether it's like launching new products and offers or even doing client work, it's really, I don't know if this sounds good, but like it's just like an intuition thing. And I look at the numbers and I be honest with myself with it. Um, and I also just understand that if things don't work out, like that's fine. Nothing that we ever do is guaranteed to crush. And you know, I even look at it as like an athlete standpoint. And you look at professional sports and players in the NBA or in world football or whatever. It's like you're not going to win every game. You go out there, you try your best, like, and if it fails, then like let's go back to the drawing board, right? So um, really, if I get this vibe that like this process isn't working, or like this these types of emails aren't really doing it for this client, then it honestly it's only like a few chances. Like I'm not going to be running something for 6 months and then being like, you know what, I actually think this isn't right. I have to put on my brain as like a marketing a marketer, put on my marketing brain and be like, okay, well, this, let's take this as a test. This test isn't working. Let's see if we can change it, and like let's break it down and see like what's wrong with it. So like just for example, I remember I tried launching a product on like social media and on like how to grow on like on Twitter and things like that. And it was like how to get your first like 1,000 followers on Twitter or something. And I actually launched it and I got like a bunch of sales, but it wasn't as much as I wanted. And I was like, okay, well, I think obviously this means that my list isn't coming to me to talk about social media, and I was honest about that, right? So you really have to look at your failures as like very strict and be like, okay, this didn't work out as well as I wanted to. What can I do next? And is there something I can tweak? Should I try it one more time? Maybe it's a seasonal thing. Maybe it's a messaging thing. Like, what can I change up a little bit, right? But it really is all about being honest with yourself within like the first like 2 or 3 iterations.
It's amazing insight, because so many people will be precious about, okay, I'm going to launch X, if it doesn't succeed, like, oh no, it's like, it's amazing. Yeah, if it doesn't succeed, you get all this data and you know your audience likes X or Y or Z. Like, it's so useful. So it's good to hear that's the kind of mindset there.
It's like, it's humbling, of course, I think anyone who's been in this game long enough is like, launched something that failed, or they worked with a client where it just, the whole thing flopped. um yeah, really, that's just part of it. I mean, I'm not afraid to lose. Losing sucks. And there is some hesitation there, but that's it. Like, with every failure, you learn more, and it's going to get a lot better next time.
I do like the sports analogy, and like you mentioned the NBA, because those players, if they take a shot and they miss, they have to the next shot they have to completely clear that out of their heads, which is not an easy thing to do, because you got at the back of your mind that I just fucked up the last one, so this one's going to suck too. But it's that takes some discipline over time. Do you have any? So it sounds like you do a lot of, like, the internal thought process and everything else. Do you have any like mentors or anybody that you looked up to before that you still go back to now for like a second opinion or third opinion, or anybody else that you would like to bounce ideas off on a regular basis?
Yeah, and so that's a really good question, because I'm somebody who really believes in mentorship. Like, ever since I could make a dollar, I was looking for somebody who could tell me what to do, whether will tell me how to become better as a writer or as a freelancer. And so, there are people who I still go to and I still learn from, and I buy all their products and stuff. So, like, someone, for example, is like Justin Goff. I was in the Copy Accelerator program, which I think I think it was Copy Accelerator Lite, which I don't think is running anymore. I know he exited out of that company, but I really enjoy his stuff, and I love his messaging, especially after leaving CA, because he's all about email list monetization. He's all about having a good, happy, healthy lifestyle where you can make money, but you're still writing, and you're just enjoying life. And so I really appreciate him. And there's people like Sean Anthony, who is actually the guy who walked me through how to launch the program. And just learning from him about the stuff that he does, and the as well as the people he's learning from as well. Justin and Sean are guys who are very upfront with who they're learning from, and how they get their tactics and methods and mindsets and things like that. So yeah, those are like two big names that over the last year I've invested the most money with, but also have communicated a whole lot, in terms of like how do I grow this idea, and where should I go next?
You are being mentored by some big names, but you are also a mentor now as of the last couple of years. I mean, you got into all of this after teaching straight into copywriting, and mentoring is a different game, I'm sure. Like, what are some of the lessons, and what are you enjoying about it?
Well, yeah. So I would say the things I'm definitely enjoying about it is just seeing people grow, and they grow in different speeds, and they come in at different stages. And so it's really interesting and really fun to see somebody who is like maybe completely new, totally from scratch, and they have this dream and this idea, this goal that they want to be 6 to 12 months from now, and to see them, you know, talk to me about what niche they want to work in, um, to landing a client in that niche, and then compounding with another client, and then 8-9 months later they're like, they're traveling, you know what I mean, or like they're living the life that they wanted. Like, that's, for me, that's amazing, just because it's not too far from like where I was a couple of years ago. I've only been a copywriter for 6 years, and so just knowing that somebody like learned from me and was able to change their life, and feels happier, like, that feels amazing. um and then it's super fun, like, also just helping people who are a bit more experienced, because it also makes me reflect on myself of like, okay, like, what are one or two things I could be doing differently. How can I, like, pushing someone from 0 to 1 is like really difficult, right? Like, for people who are a bit new, like getting that first win is really difficult. But for somebody who's a bit more experienced, they really just need to switch things up a little bit. It's one or two tactics that can like change the game for them. So I love going in and like helping somebody who is already successful. They just need a few tweaks, and it's really great to see what they're doing. Give them that advice, and they're on track, right? I think some of the tough things about it is like it is quite. I think there's a bit of pressure there because I want everyone to succeed. I want everyone to get that client. I want everyone to make that 10K or whatever their goal is. But I think for me it's tough because I realize that there's only so much I can do. I can give as much advice. I can give them templates. I can show them how to create a proposal. I can show them how to send the DMs or to send the cold emails. But at the end of the day, it's like I can't do it for you, and I wish I could, in a way, even though it'd be exhausting. But it's yeah, I think that's one of the tough things is like knowing that I can't help everyone, that I can do all I can, but if you're not willing to, going back to the sports analogies, like I can draw up the play, I can make the most perfect, the play for you to get that shot up, but like if you're afraid to shoot that shot, like we can't win, and you're not going to. And so for me, it's also humbling in that sense of just like knowing that I can't necessarily help everyone. No program out there is like 100% success rate. But everyone who gives 100% will reach that goal eventually. And so yeah, I think that's one of the tough things that I've had to go through as like a mentor and a coach is just like I'm trying to give all I can. I just hope that you can execute enough and you can execute it well, and that you're patient enough to stay in the game until you get that win.
Oh, for sure. I could totally see where as fulfilling it as it is to help this many people, you also kind of put a little bit of weight on yourself, because like you said, you want to see people succeed and give them all the tools they possibly can. Are you noticing in your with the student, I don't know if we call it the student body, whatever we want to call it, in the group now, like with the let's say like a cross section of the community, are they are they from all different walks? Do you have more people trying to leave corporate life? Like what's like a standard journey? And if there is such a thing, do you notice any traits that are similar through the group? Like how's that made up, like demographically and background wise?
It's very diverse, I would say, like diverse in every sense of the word, that people are from everywhere, from 7 continents, maybe. I don't know if I have all 7, but like they're from all different backgrounds. They're all in different stages, but they all have like this idea of like freedom. I don't think anyone in the program has these massive aspirations of running like this huge 50, 100 person like empire. I think we've had a few people join who have like this idea of having like a boutique agency, which will give them freedom. But I think everybody has like this idea of simplicity and using this skill to stack on other skills to live a more simple and freedom-based life. And so I really love that. It's great because I think my vibe also attracts that type of person. Like, I mean, as you said, I'm giving presentations on freaking Google Docs, and I just found out how to make a page list like 3 weeks ago. So yeah, I think that's something that's within the group. There's that. It's a lot of people who want simplicity, not easy. They want it simple, and they want like they appreciate real, and they're kind of like this like anti-guru mentality, which I like too, because I'm not a guru, and nor do I want to be.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that besides like our similar past was I was a member of a couple other groups that were excellent groups, but I just kind of felt like another number in some of them, and I kind of felt like you were like, obviously you're super relatable, but you're also like, this guy's teaching from like, he's just reaching back like a year, he's not so far ahead. And I know there's like time and place and a value to people that are like super high up and they're experts. I just didn't feel like that was right for me. And I've noticed it with other people in the group too. I feel like that's kind of like the group that we've got are people that just kind of need like the expertise, but we're not like Tony Robbins is amazing, but I'm not going to go spend a shitload of money to go see him, even though I'm sure I would come away with it for something. Like I want to, learn from the guy who was just here like a year ago. That's like not so unreachable, and the guy like you do now, like the guy who responds to messages, and I think that's really served you well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I run the group in a way like there's always like that saying of be the change you want to see in the world, and I was always thinking, be the coach who you needed. And so I think when I was starting out, I was really intimidated by people who are way more experienced. They just seem so professional, and they seem so like I didn't want to look dumb in front of them, and so I didn't want to message them, and I couldn't message them personally. So the way I run the group is I try to make it as approachable as possible, and I'm very trying to show people that I'm not too far ahead of them, and I'm not trying to be like anyone that I'm not, And so I think that served me like pretty well, and I think it causes a lot of the people in the group to be at more at ease, and they're not afraid to ask like dumb questions, quote unquote dumb questions, And so and I love that. I think the people in the group who are the most successful are the ones who stay in contact with me. They ask questions whether they think it's dumb, and um, yeah, I try to keep it as open as possible for everyone.
Honestly, those Google Docs, amazing. Like as soon as I saw it, I was like, cool. This is legit info. This is not someone trying to like scam me or anything. I was like, this is a legit dude. So don't ever change them, please.
Yeah, no. And now that I've gone pageless, it's also like a lot better. I think it's so stupid that like I just discovered how to make them pageless. I'm a copywriter, and like I've written like long form sales pages before, which like honestly, I feel like I'd probably still be writing long form sales pages if I discovered how to make Google Docs pageless. But yeah, for those I use those just to teach what's on my mind, and like um I'm like when I'm writing them, I'm creating a flow of like essentially like what's going on in my mind, and then go back and edit it. But yeah, everything that I teach in those docs is what I do. So yeah, I'm happy you like them.
Let's if we can go into a little bit more detail on people that kind of come into the programs. You've got the Nomadic Copywriter, Money Mastermind. What are some of the typical, you talk about kind of like you can write the play, but it's down to them to execute. What are some of the common mistakes people seem to be making, both like pre coming onto the course, like even stuff you see on Twitter, with people interacting with some of the content you put out, but also even once they kind of commit to a program?
Yeah, and so I think some of the mistakes that people make for sure is thinking that there's like this one size fits all kind of system, of getting clients and building a business. You go on Twitter or social media, and you look at Facebook ads, and people say cold DMs suck, or content creation sucks, or Facebook sucks. In reality, like all that stuff works, and I think some of the mistakes that people make in or out of the program is that they stay using systems that don't necessarily work for them. People get leads and get clients in all different types of ways, and they have different messagings and styles that work for them. And so I think people in and out of the program, but one thing that gets them like stuck is just they keep doing something that's not working for them. Whether that's an avenue of messaging on a particular platform, or it's the social media platform that they're hanging out the most on, or the type of content that they're making. And it's like, put on your marketing mind, your marketing hat, and think, okay, this isn't working for me. I'm doing everything people are saying, and I'm doing everything he's saying, but what can I do to modify this? And so I've noticed that with people both in and out of the program, where like they find success after one, being really curious and putting on their, thinking like, okay, is this really working for me? How can I modify this? Or what can I do a little bit differently to maybe test this out in a different way? And so being curious is really, really a big part of it. Not just to be like, okay, this is the only way. I'm going to stick to this until forever. Because people have joined the program, and for several months it's like, okay, maybe this strategy is not working for them, and then we talk, and it's like, all right, we'll try it on LinkedIn instead, and then next thing you know, they get a client like almost immediately, right? So it's I think that's such like a big thing that a lot of people get stuck in, is they think there's only one way to go about it. Even I think I should probably tell the story more of like, I tried growing a brand on Facebook, which was like okay, but when I got on Twitter, like it blew up for me. So that was like, and I was, people were telling me Twitter sucks for years, which is why I never did it. And so once I switched over, things started working out a little bit more, right? So I think that's such a big thing, is like a big mistake that people have, is like there's only one way to grow a business, and that you shouldn't test. As marketers, we should be testing like all the time. We should be open to that. And yeah, not a lot of people are. Not enough, at least.
So we're mentioning Nomadic Copywriter, the Money Menu Mastermind. It would be great. I'm sure there's a couple of people like, what the hell are these things? So if you want to give us a bit of a pitch for both, and also I think I noticed there's the Nomadic Copywriter, but there's also the Nomadic Freelancer. So if you also want to kind of distinguish those, that would be great.
Yeah. So the Nomadic Copywriter is really like my first program. I don't know if the term flagship is the word, because it was really intended just to be like a side project, trying to help people out, give advice, and see if I can make an impact in a different way. But the program is essentially like a foundational program for people who are either aspiring or struggling freelance email copywriters and email marketers who want to learn how to make $2,000 to $5,000 per month per client writing or managing emails. And so I would say that the group right now is probably 60-40, like beginners and those with like at least 6 months of experience. There's a few people in the program now who joined and they have years of experience, like Steve's in there, and Hira, and Kate as well. So like there's people in there who have just wanted to get some tweaks in and trying to understand like how to get clients, what is like a comfortable system for them that they can execute every day and continue to get paid. And so yeah, people have goals of reaching just 5K per month on the side, all the way to like 15 to 20K. And so there are a lot of people in there who have exceeded like the 10K goal, and others have started like little boutique agencies and are now trying like performance deals and things like that. So it's really exciting just to see everyone's growth. And a lot of people have quit their jobs to become full-time freelancers, and of course everyone on this call is now traveling the world as a freelance email expert. So yeah, that's what TNC is all about. I think the Nomadic Freelancer, I think that was
that the Facebook group?
I think that oh yeah, that was the Facebook group. So that was like my free group, which is a little bit inactive right now. No, for no reason other than like I stopped hanging out on Facebook in January. And so it was called Become a Digital Nomad Freelancer. I tried to change it up just because like not everybody in there was like trying to be a nomadic freelancer. It was like a lot of people who just wanted to learn how to make money online. So I changed up the name of it, but I actually might create a new Facebook group because it's a great way to get new leads and build community and things like that. So yeah, slightly different from TNC, but TNC is I guess my middle ticket offer, people would say. And then my new product is the Money Menu Mastermind, which is all about how to create leverage products and programs, helping you make money while you sell your advice. And so that's for people who are a bit more experienced. They perhaps have an audience or want to have an audience, and they want to step away from the client grind, very similar to where I was about a year and a half ago. So people who want to learn how to create leverage products and make more money. And so yeah, that's just starting up right now, and I'm really excited about it. It's something that I have a lot of experience in over the last few years, especially running my own products the last month, year and a half. So yeah, if anyone's interested, like, send me a message.
And we're both a testament to that too, because it's funny how you go from like no clients to like, am I doing the right thing? Is this going to work out? And then now, quite honestly, I'm overworked. At least I work 7 days a week now. So yes, if anybody's interested, they should check out your program, because that's the next step for me. Any clients who are listening right now is getting rid of all of you eventually here. But it's a testament to both of your programs. It really is, because I started with zero. Now I'm making more money than I was at my old job, and turning clients away. So your flagship program worked for me, and we're excited to get away from all the clients and move on to the next level also. So we're not only fans of it, but we're in the middle of it. So we'll have to have another checkpoint here, see how we're doing a little bit down the road.
On that note, it it would be amazing to, because we know some of them, but I'm sure our audience would love to hear a little more about some of the wins you've had in the nomadic copywriter, because there's been some really cool stories over the last 12 months.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so I can pull out like a few, just like some of the ones that I'm like just a big favorite of. Of course, like Lee is has been like, well, both of you guys have been shared a whole lot to my audience. Lee came in something completely different. Within a year was making a very nice like 5-figure monthly income. Reese as well. Like I still remember it was like April 2022, and you were just calling me on your way back home, and I could hear the rain, that London rain. You were coming back from work. It sounded like you were just busy. It sounded like you were in a suit. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it just sounded like you were in a suit.
The London look.
Yeah, and so like, yeah, I like, and then within like a few months, less than a year, you sent that message where you were like in Portugal and Cyprus and things like that. Like, I absolutely love that. And that you were able to out earn and earn double than what you were taking home at your day job. And I love stories like Shane O'Neill, who he came in with no marketing experience at all. He took everything with the program like down to a T, executed all perfectly. Even with the whole like, hey, pick a niche that's really weird that you're interested in. And of course, he is now working for one of the biggest Brazilian jiu-jitsu personal brands. And I honestly think within a year he's going to be like dominating that space, and like probably, I hope to be managing a bunch of like the big jiu-jitsu brands. So not just personal brands, but maybe apparel and things like that as well. And so, and there's also this guy named Johnny T. He doesn't want me to say his last name, but he's a really good guy, kind of like a bodybuilder, powerlifter dude who, we started working together back in January this year. And then really quickly, he's very much like Lee, who is like a big implementer, checks in every so often and comes in with like a big win, and he's making now around 14,000 a month, writing in the dentistry niche, doing things for like local practices. I think that's the term. But yeah, I think all those people have been like amazing. And then of course, like I guess the recent ones as well, Hira Osama, she is an amazing woman from Pakistan, and she's a mom, she's a busy mom, and has had experience as a freelance copywriter for a few years, but had a few sticking points. And now, just 2 months later, she's booked out. She's already turning clients away, and yeah, I'm just super proud of the work that she's done as well. So yeah, those are just a few of the wins, and yeah, I hope that showed you a little bit of the diversity in the program as well, of like, people have come in and from different backgrounds and different stages. So,
and aside from the learning aspect of it, and we don't have to get into too much detail because of our current positions, but just the networking, like for example, you mentioned Hira and James, they work for me now, and it was really nice for me to be able to like reach back into the group, and I knew I was getting a quality writers. We sent out some test projects, they nailed it. And so that's nice too. I think that that connection aspect, and obviously the biggest connection is just me and Reese coming into the group together and doing what we're doing now. So yeah, like there's a learning aspect too, but you develop friendships and networking opportunities that you'll never find anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that's really one of the best things about community is like, you know, the people that you meet in these programs. Some of them are going to be friends for life. Even now we had a call with Nick Yates, who's this fantastic email marketer, and even somebody in his program was somebody I was in a program with, Eddie Burren, and I was just like, oh, Eddie's there too, and I've known Eddie for a few years, like since 2019, I think. We were in a very close mastermind together, and so yeah, it's such a nice way to be in the trenches with different folks and just seeing how people grow, and yeah, I'm so happy you guys have connected. I know even right now, two people, CC and Josie, are about to meet in Vienna, like this weekend, I think, and yeah, I think it's really cool.
Cool. So we got a couple more to kind of bring it back out a bit. The kind of journey, obviously, on Twitter or any social media network, anyone who has managed to build a lifestyle business, it is the dream. Like, there's no picture or anything that makes us think, oh, I don't want that lifestyle. It's very, very appealing. And typically we kind of, for a lot of people, we see the highlight reel. I think in a lot of your posts, you've still been pretty authentic about the fact that it's not like the perfect lifestyle. Do you want to touch on some of the kind of struggles that you've had throughout this whole process?
Yeah, in terms of just like having this lifestyle business, for sure. I mean, um, first and foremost, I absolutely love it. I love having this freedom and being able to see so many amazing places, see so many like beautiful people, and just the freedom to be anywhere. Like, what a time to be alive, and what a thing that we get to do is just to write and be places and make a business where you can be super busy and have work 7 days a week and make good money, and scale from that, take clients down, and then try to build something on the side. But of course, like, nothing's perfect. I think there are things that I miss about having like a very stable life, and I got like a good taste of that when I was in Atlanta, in the US, really this summer, when I was able to go to a gym regularly that I enjoyed, or I was able to train jujitsu regularly in a gym, and I didn't feel like the new guy everywhere I went. And of course, like, making friends. It's like, um, digital nomad life is one of those things where you just meet a lot of single serving homies. It's people who you may hang out with for a day or two, or for a week or a month, maybe a few months. But then, it's essentially over. Now you're just Instagram homies, and you like each other's tweets and things like that. And so I think that it's not the most perfect lifestyle. It's, as we see on Instagram, and even on Twitter and other platforms, like, people like to flex it, and the pictures look really good, but there's a lot of stuff that's tough that comes with it. And yeah, even though I love traveling, I'm going to Barcelona next week, and I have plans to go back to Southeast Asia in a few months. It's like, sometimes I would really like to just be in one place, focus on work, train regularly, and, like, start to put down some roots. But yeah, I mean, even when I was in the States, and I was there, it was nice, but then I was like, oh man, I really, really wish I could go to Italy right now. You know what I mean? So sometimes the grass is always greener.
No, it's funny how that works. Like, whatever I'm doing at the time, like, it's a human thing. I just start listing out all the things that I'm like, 'cause just like you being back in the US, I'm like, I go to the same store every day. I've got my gym, everything's, and then of course, after a while, that you start to get the itch and you want to get back out again. But with all that in mind, like, what does like a day look like for you? And then when you do need to unwind, or you do need to take a step back from everything, like, do you have any rituals? I know you're into jujitsu and everything else, but like, what is, like, in a nutshell, like, your typical day look like?
Yeah, I mean, a typical day for me, it can depend on if I have any big projects going on. If I have, like, if it's but like I would say typically I usually wake up around like 6:30 or 7, and go for, have like a little morning routine. It's nothing too intense or guru entrepreneur-y. It's just have some black coffee, sit in silence, go for a walk, come back, shower up, start work. And then, yeah, it's just deep work for about 3-4 hours. And during that time, I get a lot of client work done. Then I take some time to answer all the messages on Discord from the communities that I'm in, create content for myself. And then, that includes like my social content and then my email list. And then really within like 5 hours, maybe by 1 o'clock, 2 p.m., I'm pretty much done with everything that like I would say needs to be done. Then I sporadically check Discord to see if anyone responds. But then during that time, like maybe I'll go work out, maybe I'll go on another walk, maybe I'll just relax. Then I'll go to jujitsu, usually in the evening. And then, during that time, I would say from like that early afternoon to like late afternoon, it's pretty open. So I could be doing anything in that time. And if I have a big project, then I just dedicate more time to that project. Like I won't relax and hang out from 2 to 4. And during that time, I'm back to working on the projects. But I do have like a hard cutoff typically at like 5 p.m. And even when I'm not doing like any big projects, then like that cutoff is like 2 or 3 p.m. It's like, I think when I was in Thailand, I didn't have any huge projects going on. And so like my days were typically done by like 2 or 3. And during that time I would like go to the beach or do a jujitsu session or something like that. But yeah, and then the evening is just like whatever I want to do. I try to eat early and then try to go to sleep by like 10:30 or 11 or so. But the most important part of my day is like the morning where I do the deep work for 4 hours, because I really think that if you focus and you have the right systems and you know what to work on first, then you can get a day's work done within those 4 hours. And then you have those extra hours in the afternoon where you can focus on anything you want to do, whether it's more work or personal things. And yeah, I love helping people like create that kind of life, because yeah, it's nice to have like an afternoon open to where you can, improve personally or professionally.
There's nothing quite like it, is there? We've talked about your story, how you got to where you are now, copywriting, but also mentoring and coaching through Nomadic Copywriter and the Money Menu Mastermind. And we would love to know like what's on the horizon. Like you kind of start the Nomadic Copywriter. I think it was kind of going to be a side hustle, and it is now your middle ticket offer. You've got a high ticket offer. Like, is there something even now you've got those in place and rolling? Are you kind of thinking longer term?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna for the future, the whole plan is to grow those. I do want to have like just run things through my email list, be on social media, maybe even like not even need to be like a big brand. I think the crazy thing is like with the changes to social media and like to Twitter and X and things like that, it's shown that like you don't need to have a massive audience to make a really good income. I know people who have less than 5,000 followers who are making like 50K a month, but they're just doing it in different ways. And so, my whole thing is right now is helping everyone inside the Nomadic Copywriter, help everyone in the Money Menu Mastermind and grow that as well. Continue growing my email list, create new products and offers, and just grow, everything within the Nomad sphere that I have going on. But then I honestly, I still love writing copy. I like doing client work with clients I actually enjoy. And so even when people ask me what I do, I still say I'm a copywriter, And so I think there's always going to be that element of me like wanting to partner up and manage an email list and things like that. So for me right now, I'm having a lot of fun doing that, growing what I got, and yeah, teaching fantastic people like y'all.
Awesome. Super excited to see it all come to fruition.
Well, man, it's been awesome, man. It's just surreal that we're all sitting here together right now. And look where we've all look at pat myself on the back. Look where we've all made it in a year's time. But it would be awesome that if we have another checkpoint, obviously we all know each other. We'll keep in touch. But thanks for giving us your time here, because
Yeah, thank
we're
you.
all friends. But to lock you into a call like this, and I know that a lot of the people that we know, like our mutual friends in our groups and everything, they haven't heard you on a podcast in a while, and this has been an amazing catch up and just kind of see where we're all at. So to be continued, my friend. This was awesome.
Yeah, to be continued. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to growing with y'all even more.
Thank you, Francis.